Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Estrella Podcast. My name is Danielle Miranda, and before I get started in introducing today's wonderful guest, the time has arrived. The Estrella platform is now in beta mode. If you would like to learn more about what is going on the platform and what's in store for exciting things that are coming, please go to estrellaadvisors.com. Now, for introducing today's great guest, I have the absolute pleasure of speaking to medium Mari. Hi, Mari. How are you today?
Good. How are you today? Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. I am so excited that we're finally able to do this because I know we had been trying to figure out when to schedule this for the past couple of months. So I'm
I
glad that the
know.
time is finally here.
Me too.
And for those of you who are watching today's podcast today, I'm glitching a little bit. I've never had this happen before. And I was talking to Media Mari, and she said that sometimes this tends to happen when you're a guest on other podcasts.
Yes, that is correct. I don't know why, but I think it's the energy. The energy just
Yeah.
makes things a little crazy.
Okay, so bear with us if you're watching. And for those of you who are listening, obviously it shouldn't be a problem. I'm really excited to talk to you today. And with you being a medium, I've had the opportunity to interview so many wonderful mediums. And now that I get the opportunity to interview you, a question that has immediately come to mind that I would like to ask you is every year we grow as individuals, right? But in the spiritual community, whether you're a medium, a psychic, a numerologist, an astrologer, or anything under that umbrella, I would like to know for you, how have you evolved in 2025 compared to previous years as not only a woman, but as a medium?
That's a good question. I haven't honestly thought that much about it, but I think in terms of the work I do, as you said, I'm a medium. I'm also an animal communicator. And so that is a big part of the work that I do. And I think there has been a sort of evolution and move for me personally in moving more towards working with the animals. It's been very sort of natural. It wasn't something that I planned, but I had, readings with other mediums and people in the community in the past, and they're like, "Yeah, that's really what you're supposed to be doing." So it's just been this kind of fluid movement in that direction. I mean, I still do people and I still do intuitive readings and past life work, but I have been working a lot more with doing readings on animals, whether they're here or crossed over. And for me, that's really been a nice evolution because I really love working with our little furry friends, and they're a big part of my life, in my everyday life. And I'm excited to see where that takes me.
That's wonderful. When you're interviewing, or if you're doing, when you're doing work on the animals, how do you channel them? How are they able to communicate with you?
Well, it's interesting because I know and certainly everybody that's an animal communicator works differently. But for me, I work with the animals the same way that I work with people. So I just connect to them on a soul level. And it's not like a special thing. And it's not even like with, people sometimes will have like short conversations with me when I'm connecting with people's loved ones on the other side. But the animals, because they communicate in a different way, they'll show me like pictures or sort of give me a feeling in my body. Sometimes I'll smell things, or, if they're having some type of particular physical issue, I might feel it in my body. And so it's a little bit different when I work with animals in that way because they don't talk to me, like Fluffy's not coming up to me and saying, "Hey, Mari, I really like, Christmas," or, whatever. So they don't talk in a human voice, but they do express themselves in a variety of other ways. And I use my senses to pick up on that information. But if you think about it, I mean, animals and people, we're all souls. We are all sparks of the divine, source, God, whatever you want to call it. And to me, they are just as equal as humans. And so I treat them and connect with them in the same way.
Now, if I may ask, Mari, is there a particular animal that you connect more with than others?
Not really. I mean, I haven't connected with every type of animal on the planet, but I have connected, with birds and lizards and snakes and flying squirrels and fish and cats, dogs, all sorts of animals, horses, of course. Um, so they're kind of all the same. I mean, I can't say that I've connected with like an insect. I have done a spider, like a
Oh,
big,
wow.
like a black widow. I have done a
Oh,
spider, but I haven't done like, no one has asked me to connect with like ants. So I haven't done that yet, but it's really all the same because you're just connecting on that soul level and sort of feeling. And, I'm a social worker also, I'm a therapist. And there's a big tenet of that work that talks about starting where the client is. And
yes.
so I always work that way. And whether it's a lizard or a snake, a person, whatever I'm connecting with, I start where they are and connect with them at that level and then go from there.
I think that's wonderful that you're a social worker, a therapist. So, if you think about it, you're healing on all different types of levels. You're healing in your career as a therapist and a social worker. You're healing in the spiritual realm as a medium and an animal communicator. So, how do you, knowing that you are, whether you can realize it or not, indirectly or directly, how do you shut it off? Because it sounds like you're always in this mode of giving and helping and using your talents and gifts. So how do you turn that off?
Well, that is very hard. And just like we have talked earlier, I think you're very psychic as well. And so I can't really turn it off. I mean, I'm not in, working mode all the time, so I'm not connecting on the same level, but you can't fully turn it off. I mean, I know that like when I'm in work mode, say like, I'm 300% open to the messages and whatever, but when I'm not in work mode, I'm still open. So many times in my regular life, my husband will be like, "Stop reading my mind," or like it just comes to me. He'll be like thinking about where do we go for dinner, and I'll just hear or see like Indian food in my head. We love Indian food, and he'll say, "Yeah, I was thinking about Indian." I was like, "Yeah, I know." So I can't help it. It just kind of happens, and so it is hard, and so you in some ways are always tuned in to that
Yes.
side of the universe. And it's, it can be tiring, I can say, because you're not just picking up all the cues from this side of life, you're picking up everything else and getting those messages kind of 24/7. So it does take a special type of energy to be able to sort of modulate all of that.
Yes. Yes. As I'm listening to you speak and you're explaining just how you're able to not fully turn it off at times. So there's times where you're on, and even when you want to turn it off, sometimes it's hard to fully turn it off. But has that ever affected you building relationships or friendships or feeling like you are a part of a group? And I only ask that because one of the things that I've noticed with myself is I've always have struggled with feeling like I fit in, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I don't know if that is something that you go through as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say people in this community, and while I connect with other psychics and mediums in much easier fashion because we have a lot of things in common, I think people like me, in a lot of ways, do have trouble fitting in because we're kind of different. And also, as you were talking about friends, I was thinking in some ways it certainly saved me because when I connect, I meet somebody and I connect with them, I immediately will know, oh yeah, this is not somebody that I want to be connected with, or this isn't really my kind of person. So I'm able to sort of figure that out a little bit ahead of time, whereas maybe some people wouldn't. But I think being sort of half in this world and half in the other makes it difficult for you to fully integrate into a group of people here on this side, because part of you is always never there.
Right. Right. That's
You know?
very well explained. You had talked about basically intuition. And I would like to ask you, because I've been sitting on this for quite some time. Do you feel intuition is a branch of the psychic realm?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody has intuition. It's, one of our senses, the sixth sense, and everybody uses it to varying degrees. I think a lot of people don't allow themselves to use that, but absolutely, being intuitive and being psychic are kind of the same thing, in a lot of ways. And so, I think everybody has the ability. It's just a matter of A, whether you want to pursue it, and B, whether you want to work at it. Because just like some people can sit down and play piano beautifully without very much effort because it's kind of natural to them, people like me, we more naturally connected to the other side, or to our intuition, or to animals, or the nature. And so it's just more natural for us to sort of work in that way. Whereas if other people want to do it, and I believe everybody can, they need to work at it a little harder, to get those type of connections. But it is available to everybody.
Yes, I agree. I've noticed recently, just within myself, that my intuition has gotten very stronger, to the point where I know when someone's going to contact me. And it happened yesterday. I was thinking about somebody. I was like, I'm probably going to hear from them either today or tomorrow. And sure enough, within the next hour, they reached out. Or a former guest that I had on the show, he has this amazing group that I've been joining. And for some reason, I felt that he had the stone moldavite on him. And sure
Hmm.
enough, he says, yeah, so I'm wearing moldavite. And I couldn't believe it. So to be honest, and I know you've been doing this for years, Mari, but for somebody like me who's starting to tap into all of this, it's actually really cool. And it just shows you how connected we really are. And so, expounding on what I'm saying, and in my next question, do you ever find moments where stuff still surprises you, where you're like, wow, I didn't realize that I could connect in that way? Or how did I know in that depth about something? Like, do things still surprise you with your gift?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to be on your podcast, is because you ask these really good questions, and so I appreciate that. I do think that doing the work all the time and just sort of being who I am, I think at some point it's like, yeah, been there, done that. Not to say that it's boring, but when you're talking with animals and people, I mean, you get the different stories, but there's usually a common thread. I mean, there's not always these fantastical type of stories, but certainly sometimes you connect with spirits or animals and they do tell you amazing things. Um, I would say in my normal life, in my day-to-day life, when things happen, and they always do, like the radio will turn on, or I'll find something, or the lights will flash on and off in my house, and to me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. That's just my grandmother. Like I'm not really phased by it because I'm just like used to it. And I was even watching something the other day where people were talking about animals, some type of animal class. And it wasn't animal communication, but it was like, our animals have feelings, and, they're connected in different ways like we are. And in my own brain, I'm like, well, duh, like, of course they are. Like, I don't, whenever I go past, if I see animals in a pen, like meat cows. I'm vegan, so I always like say hi to them, and I apologize to them for
Aw.
everything that's going on, because it's hard when you feel all of that. But to your point, there's definitely times where things happen where I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. Like, I didn't know that, I was really able to do that, or I never tried to do that. Like, more recently, I've always done kind of like past life, connections where, you used to be, an Egyptian servant, or, something like that.
Ooh,
But then
yeah.
I've had clients where they wanted to find out what happened to them in this lifetime. things that they couldn't remember. And so I have taken clients back. It's a little bit like a guided imagery or a little like regression, almost like a hypnosis, but I'm not really trained in hypnosis per se. But I have taken people back, say, to their childhood homes where, something was misplaced or some incident happened with another family member, and I'm able to describe the home exactly as it was in their room and where they were. And so reflecting on that, I was like, oh, that was kind of cool that I was able to do that. And so I think you're always learning and growing and learning new things. But, as you know, the more you do the thing over and over again, that's the same. There is a level of comfort and sameness, I guess, to a little bit. But it's nice to have those little surprises sometimes.
Yes, yes. Mari, as a medium, I have an interesting question to ask you. Have you ever been in a session, whether it's with a person or an animal, and you were able to channel somebody from the dead, and you were able to know what they were in a past life? So maybe the animal that you're channeling at one point was a person, or maybe the person that you're channeling at one point was an animal. Have you ever been able to pick up on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of the work. I mean, I've done readings for people, with their animal, and I say, well, I know that you guys had a past life connection. And I keep hearing dad, dad, dad. And then the client will say, oh, yeah, I've always felt like my dad's presence and somehow a dad connection, but my dad never met this dog. And so, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I believe because we're all souls, and this is just like, the outfit we're wearing this time around. It's not anything special in some ways. And so when you come back, you can be born into a human, I believe, born into an animal, even some trees, because they have their own type of energy. So 100%, that happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. As a medium, we typically hear, okay, mediums are able to channel people that are not alive anymore. They're able to communicate with the dead. But my question to you, Mari, is what is something that viewers and listeners may not know about mediums?
Hmm. Well, this might be a little boring, but that we're just normal people. When people meet me, sometimes they're like they think that like I'm flying around on a unicorn 24/7 or something. It's like, no, I mean, I'm just like a soccer mom. I'm just a normal person. And, I have this gift that people call it. It's just everyone has a different way of being. And for me, I use this energy to connect with the other side, but we're just like everybody else. And I just think it's important for people to know that, because I think sometimes in Hollywood and in movies, they make it sound like really scary and, like we're doing crazy things. But, the craziest thing I do is go to the supermarket. So I'm not out there doing anything crazy. So we're just regular people. That's what I'd like
Yes.
people to know.
Yes, yes, I love that. At the end of the day, you're right. You other mediums out here, you guys are just regular people. You have your families, your
Mhm.
husbands, your wives, you have children, you're taking vacations, you have your own careers. I think that is very important to emphasize that, because I believe spirituality has been so negatively talked about over the past few years, and looked at as just witchcraft or something negative.
Yeah,
And it's so nice to know that at the end of the day, you all are just like us. And you guys eat, you sleep, you bleed, you breathe, just like we do.
exactly.
So thank
Exactly.
you for emphasizing that. Um, okay, so I would like to know a couple of lighthearted questions. Have you always been a medium, or did you channel into this at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always was. I guess I never realized it because as a little kid, I remember one of my earliest memories is looking up from my bed. I mean, I must have been like 4 years old and just seeing angels and connecting with them. And I'm like, oh, my friends. And I would
Oh,
talk to them. And, I would go out and talk to the trees and I would talk to the animals. And I just thought that everybody did that because, like, why would I know any different? And so, I just thought this was a normal thing. And then as I started talking about it with other people, and I realized that not everybody did it. And by me talking about it, they thought I was kind of weird. So I kind of started it to keep it to myself. And, but yeah, I've always been this way. I mean, I was always interested in astrology and tarot cards. And it's just so much an ingrained part of me
Wow.
that it never leaves. It's always with me.
Wow. Wow. Very interesting. Mari, if I may ask, when it comes to you as a medium, what are two goals that you have in 2025 that is going to allow you to expand and evolve as a medium or an animal communicator?
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of goals that I'm always working on. I mean, I really would like to serve people in a larger way. I mean, I love doing my individual readings and my groups, but even like a bigger platform. So I'd love to do something, like have a TV show, which I've been in talks with different
Ooh,
producers. So, fingers crossed that something
how
works out with
fun.
that, or a movie or something like that. So I really would like to take what I do to the bigger screen and just to more people. And so people can recognize that this healing, this connection is something that's available to everybody. It's not special. You don't even need to go to a medium to sort of feel that type of connection to your own loved ones. And I would like to really spread that message. So I'm really looking at more of a global impact, I guess you could say. That's my goals. That's what I want to do in the next couple of years.
That's wonderful. And I feel like you are going to do something like that. I actually saw it as you were talking about it. I saw the vision of you doing something big like that. And I know it's going to work out for you. So
Thank you.
that's
Thank you.
very
Yeah.
exciting.
I am very excited. I have some exciting stuff planned for the fall that I can't really talk about, but
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, there's some things that are happening and cooking, and I also keep seeing it, and so I'm just sort of waiting for it to all manifest in due time. But I'm very excited, so
That is
I'll keep you
wonderful.
posted.
Please do. And I'm even more thankful that you're on the podcast.
Oh.
um, okay. So, what are some things that the viewers and listeners, uh, maybe even your own family and friends, know about you in the spiritual realm? What are some things, some cool, interesting facts, or even quirks that you have as a medium or an animal communicator? So maybe some rituals that you do. Maybe there's a certain type of food you eat before you do a session. Maybe there's a mantra that you say. What are some things that kind of help channel everything in before you do a session?
Well, I think like most people that do this kind of work, they have their little ritual for setting up. So what I do isn't anything special or particular. I usually, I meditate before all my sessions. I have some certain incense that I burn. I like to clear whatever room I'm working in, say some certain prayers that I work with. I always like to have, my green tea in my special mug. It's just so silly, but I'm like, I need to have my green tea. I think everybody just develops these rituals for anything, whether you're a stage actor or, you're an athlete, and they have their little rituals that sort of signal to their body and to their soul, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's do the thing. And so I make sure I have all my items. I clear the room. Always have I'm always having crystals near me and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. Or I have like a pendulum that I like
Oh,
to
yeah.
hold on to. So, which I
That's a
love.
pretty one.
And yeah, it is a very pretty one. Thank you. Fluorite.
Well, I
So
love fluorite.
nothing, yeah, but it's nothing, weird or anything that I do, but I like to do the same thing all the time just to sort of signify to myself, like, okay, it's go time. We're going to do the thing. And that's pretty much what I do usually to get ready for a session and for the day. So.
So, how often are you in sessions? Do you work 3 times a week? Are you working every day? Maybe once a month? Like, what is a very reasonable schedule for you?
Well, it depends. Like over the, because I still have my kids at home. So during the summer, I don't do a lot of work. I'll be honest with you, just because I'm with them, and that, I always say I'm mom first, medium second. And
Yes.
so I want to spend this time with them. That's my priority. And that's what I do. So over the summer, I do very little things. Like I had an event a couple of weeks ago that I did, one of my Animals and Angels events, which is a group event. And we do readings from your past loved ones or your animals. So I did that recently. And I'm obviously recording this podcast over the summer, but over the summer, I don't do a lot. But normally when I'm in work mode, I usually work like 3 or 4 times a week. And then I also have different events that are set up, whether they're classes or groups or galleries or whatever I'm doing, and sort of fit those in as well. And, I try to keep it manageable because it is, if anyone's ever done this work, it's very tiring. It takes a lot. And personally, for me, I'm a 400% kind of gal. Like I never do anything part way, whatever it is. So I'm just like, totally in there. And I'm really bad with letting my sessions run over because I'm like, oh, wait, there's another piece of information. And so then everybody's
Aw.
late. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But like, I'm just always trying to do the absolute, 400% best for any of my clients or anybody that I'm working with. So that's really important to me. But I try to see as many clients as I can. I do have a wait list. So if anybody is
Wow.
looking to meet with me, I just say go to my website, mediummari.com, and you can get on my wait list. And it's at least a couple of months. I mean,
Wow.
so I see as many people as I can, but like there's only one of me. I can't franchise me. So that's why I want to reach people on a bigger scale so that I can help more people instead of just the individual or the small groups.
Oh, I love that. That was
Mhm.
awesome. And it's interesting because you actually just answered, I was going to say, have your sessions ever gone over? And you answered that. I was
Yeah.
thinking that. So,
I
um,
guess I knew. I guess I
yeah.
knew. Yeah.
So when it comes to recovery, what do you do to recover? Because you said it drains you, it takes a lot of your energy. Do you find that you need at least a day to recoup? Or B, do you find that maybe it doesn't take that long to recover? And C to that, what do you do to recover? So do you do like a nice hot bath? Are you doing face mask? Like what type of routines help you to recover and get yourself ready to go for when you have to do more work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, as you're talking, I'm like, wow, those sound like nice things. Maybe I should do some of those
Maybe
things.
you should do it. Yeah.
I should. I mean, to be honest, I'm really bad at self-care, so that's why,
Yeah.
maybe I am a little extra tired. I always try to make sure I go to the gym, so that's like a big thing for me, just to try to work out and sort of get the blood flowing and everything. So that's
Yes.
important. Um, but what I love to do the most, I love to sit in my garden. I have a beautiful garden that I work very hard on, and I have flowers and plants. I grow vegetables, and so I just love to work in the garden and sit out there and have a cup of tea and sort of hang out. So that is very refreshing. I don't really need like a day per se, maybe just a couple of hours, because usually when I work, I'll put together, I'll stack together 3 or 4 days and I'll work those days. So maybe it's like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I'll work, and then I'll have Monday, Friday off of the weekend. So it's not like a whole day thing, but by the end of the work week, it's definitely tiring, and it's good to have the weekend just to chill and be with my family and be in my garden and play with my cats. So,
Yeah, I love that. Gardening is a form of therapy too. It's a form of
yeah,
being able to recover and recoup. So I think that's great that you like to be in your garden and you
I
like to connect
do.
with your cats, and tea is very calming and relaxing. So those are modalities, those are things that you are doing to recover, whether you realize it or
Yeah.
not.
I guess that's true. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
like the bath and the facial. That sounds kind of good. So maybe I'll look into those. Yeah.
You deserve it. Whether it's a petty, a mani, you should go and pamper yourself.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I may ask, Mari, so you had mentioned previously that you're booked solid, a couple of months out, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, maybe
How
longer.
long did it take you to get to that point where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm booked for like months at a time? Was it word of mouth? Was it advertising? Like, what got you to where you're at today as a medium and animal communicator?
Well, it's funny because I never really thought that I would be so booked out. I mean, I'm not saying that, I think the work I do is good and people seem very happy with it, but I was just very surprised. I'm like, wow, like at one point I was booking out for like, 10 months. And to me, I was thinking like, that's kind of a long time. That's like seeing a doctor here in the US. That's a long time to wait for an appointment. So then I went to a different schedule. Now the way it is I have, everybody signs up for my wait list, and then I open up blocks of time, and then I send out an email to everybody. And then I feel like whoever really needs the appointment kind of gets it and books it in that way. But in terms of getting to this place, I just think it was word of mouth. I mean, I certainly do, some advertising, like I'll post my events or if I'm on a podcast or something, it's just sort of a natural. I'm not really putting up Facebook ads or anything like that, but I think it's just been sort of a natural flow of people finding out, what I do. And I have a couple of books out, so that also was
Oh,
helpful. So, yeah,
nice.
people just sort of found out about my work and I guess they liked it. And so I have a lot of repeat clients. I have a lot. And so people just kind of keep coming back and I try to fit in as many people as I can. And so that's sort of how I got to where I am.
What have you found to be the number one common compliment that your clients give you? What is it that they love about you and why they keep coming back?
I think what they love about me is that they said that, which I believe, that I'm very genuine. Like, this is who I am. It's not like a front, and also because I'm a therapist, I have a certain way of working with people that I think people appreciate. I think some people that are mediums haven't had that training. And sometimes when you're giving a reading, you need to be a little sensitive about the information and how you're delivering it. And I'm very cognizant of that just because of my therapeutic training that I've had. So I think people just really like my genuineness and the love. I really try to do everything with my full heart and my soul and really be supportive of all the clients that come to me, because it is an honor to meet with people in that way and to share those intimate type of connections.
Oh, I love that. Mari, do you happen to work with clients around the world or is it only in the US?
The world. I've worked with clients in Australia, New Zealand, England, Thailand. I don't know, wherever I don't speak too many other languages, just, un poco español, but not enough to do a session. So wherever people speak English, yeah, absolutely. I have clients that are all over the globe, and I'm very grateful for that. It's all, it's fun. And if somebody is, I'll usually call them on the phone. Most of my appointments are over the phone. And if it's international, we use WhatsApp. And so I'm flexible in terms of that. And it's very cool to be able to meet people from different cultures that way.
Yeah. Have you ever traveled anywhere outside of the United States to do any sessions with clients or animals?
I haven't worked overseas. I mean, I've certainly worked all over the US, but I haven't worked overseas yet. But maybe that's in my future.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. That would be very fun. I would
I see
definitely
you
be
doing
open to
something like
that.
that. I really
Okay.
do. Yeah, I think that'd be
All right.
great. I see you doing like seminars with animals, with people around the world, like just traveling around and just because you do have such a very loving, just open and passionate spirit. And I
Thank
can tell
you.
that you really are about your clients and your animal clients as well. So I love,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I do this work because I want to help people, and that's the only reason that I do it. Certainly, I could be working in many other capacities, but it's really important to me to share the love and to share the love from the other side, and for people to know that this is not all there is in the end, and that, in the end, it really is love is the only thing that matters.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Is there any type of philosopher or poet or motivational speaker that inspires you to get up every day and to push through and just be the amazing medium that you are?
Oh, well, there's so many. I mean, there's so many different people that I've read over the years. I mean, I do have a soft spot for Khalil Gibran, though. I do love his works, and it's so poignant the way that he's written so many different things, and just having, because I believe that he also had that connection with spirit, because the way that he wrote was very infused with that energy. And I love when I read that type of poetry or writing, that I know that there are other people that are also sort of on the same level, feeling the same things that I am. And it helps me connect with the world a little bit better.
Yes, I love that. I'll have to look into him. I've never heard of him.
Oh, yeah. No, he's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll have to look into him. I know for me, I love Wayne Dyer, love
Yeah,
Louise Hay. They actually
of
really helped
course.
shape me as I am as a woman today, spiritually. Rumi, I really like. Um, there's just so many that I really like, just like you. But I'll have to look into him because I've never heard of him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's written a lot of different things, and so I have read, just over the years, a lot of his different works, and very, very poignant. I think you'll like him.
Oh, wonderful! I'll definitely do that. What has been for those that are listening and watching this show? What has been the biggest struggle that you've had as a medium and an animal communicator, or even just being in the spiritual world? Like, what have you found that you have struggled with and you've had to kind of nurture and care for so that it doesn't take over you mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, that I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I think, we all struggle with different things. The human things, of course, are always present, but I think it's the feeling of differentness and the sort of always seeing things in a different way. Like if I'm in a group of people, I guarantee you, whatever it is they're talking about, or if we have to make a decision about something, I'm always on not necessarily the opposite side, but I'm on a different side than they are. And I think it's just because I see things in a different way. And this is sort of a silly story that I don't know if you want to hear, but I think it illustrates my point rather well. When I was a little girl, and this was a long time ago, let me tell you. So this is many moons ago, not caveman, but close. Uh, when the garbage men would come, in my little mind, because if we had, glass jars of pickles or whatever, they all went into the trash because this is way before recycling. And in my little, 7-year-old mind, I thought, well, of course, the garbage men, they're like taking those out of the trash, because why would you throw away glass? It doesn't make any sense. You can reuse it. I mean, and we're talking about like in the 70s. And I just assumed that that's what they did, because it didn't make any sense to me that you would throw away these reusable materials. Um, and then, of course, I got older and I realized they were not doing that. And all of those were going into the landfill. And I was like, well, what is up with that? That doesn't make any sense. But even as a little kid, I recognize the value of, not just recycling, but I just couldn't wrap my head around the idea of throwing away something that was useful and that could be used again. And, that took a lot of energy to make. And so this was, again, a very long time ago. And that's just sort of how I think. So I think about things and approach things in different ways, where someone's like, oh yeah, well, we never did this. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, because, you should, and so I just think about things in a different way. So in some ways, the most difficult thing is sort of feeling other
Yes.
to other people. And, it's not always bad. Sometimes it's good because you don't want to be part of the crowd. And I think as I've gotten older, I've accepted more of it. But there's definitely, and when I was younger and I see sort of my kids struggle with some of this, that it's hard to feel like other all the time.
Yes. Yes. Very, very well said. I was going to ask to kind of expound on what you said. What did you end up doing with the glass back then? Did you recycle it yourself? Did you store it, or did you just throw it away, even though you knew that, why are we doing this?
Well, again, I was like 7 years old, so I asked my mom. I was like, "Well, hey, what is up with this? Why aren't they doing something with this?" Because there wasn't even the word recycling, really. It was just didn't make sense to me that they didn't take care of it. And my mom was looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" Like, of course, that's just where it goes. Like, there's no other, there's no other place for it to go because there
Right.
wasn't anything invented in that way. So I don't think I did anything with it, sadly, because
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it when I was in
Right.
second grade. But I had the idea, and so I guess I like it that I approach things a little bit different. But had I known, maybe I could have taken up a glass collection and tried to
Yes.
figure out what to do with it. But I distinctly remember feeling sad about it because, like, why would they do that?
Yes. Yes. Mari, do you have anybody else in your family that's got these gifts like you, or are you the only one?
No, I think it runs in families. So my grandmother was very psychic, and my kids. I have two of my kids. I have three kids, and two of them definitely are very intuitive, very connected, and so especially my youngest. He'll just it's like we don't even have to talk half the time because I'll be thinking something and he'll hear it or he'll see what I'm seeing and he's like, "Yeah, I got it." I'm like, "Okay." So we're both like just connecting on this psychic, intuitive type of level, and it's really cool. But in that same sense, I think they also feel other and a little bit left out, and it's sort of harder for them to join groups, and they certainly have friends, but it's like when you're in a group with friends, but that you're kind of different than everybody else, even though you're part of the group. So they are definitely very psychic and intuitive. But I know that sometimes that's a struggle. It's a struggle when you're young and you want to be accepted. So it
Yes.
has it's a double-sided sword.
Yes. Yes. Mari, as we near the end of this show, I would like to ask, what words of wisdom would you give our viewers and listeners today to not be afraid of bringing out their gifts? If they know that they're intuitive, if they know that they have these psychic abilities or mediumship abilities, what words of wisdom would you give to them to not be able to be afraid to explore their gifts?
Well, I'd like to answer that with another very brief story, if that's okay. The story that I always tell, which is true, is my whole long process into really getting involved in mediumship and studying, and it's much longer than this. But the sort of the climax of the story is that I kept hearing like, "Oh, you need to be a medium, and you should be doing this," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, right, that sounds crazy." And then I didn't really, because I guess I'm a little stubborn, and I didn't believe it. And on one trip, we were flying to Florida, and I needed to use the restroom. And if you've ever been in a restroom in an airport, you know that there's like a million stalls and chaos and everything. So I was like, all right. So I went into the bathroom, and I just picked a random stall. And when I walked in, there was one tarot card there, and the only thing the tarot card said was trust. And I literally picked up this card and I threw my head back and I was like, "Okay, I get it." So that was sort of my final, nail in the coffin. Like, you need to be doing this. And then I started studying and learning and sort of working, getting into this career. But what I would say to viewers and listeners that are watching this is you need to trust. If you're getting those hits, don't explain them away. Don't say, "Oh, that was just something weird," or "that was a coincidence." Like, no, you need to be able to trust the hits and the information that you're getting, because that's the only way you're going to be able to build. If you always throw everything out the window, then you're not going to have anything to build on. So I would say, as the number one tip, is just trust yourself, trust the information you're getting. You can trust and then you can always discard later, but at least take it in, assess it. And usually when you're getting information, it's going to connect with your heart center. It's not necessarily connecting in your head. It's not like you're thinking about your grocery list for the store. It's really connecting with your body, with your soul. And when you're getting that information, just allow it to be. and allow yourself to take it in. And then you're going to be able to go to the next level with it. So that would be my recommendation, is to trust.
I love that. What a cool story. Mari, do you have, besides your website, any other ways that the viewers and listeners that are on this episode today can get a hold of you if they want a session?
Absolutely. My website is mediummari.com. So it's mediummari.com. And you can sign up for my wait list. Like I said, I do have a wait list, but I do try to get through it as much as I can. And all of my socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, it's all Medium Mari. And with the exception, I guess, of Instagram, which is Medium Mari 888. But if you just type in Medium Mari, you'll see my picture, and that will be me. And yeah, I would absolutely love people to connect with me on whatever platform they're comfortable with. Just pop in and say hi, or if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them. So I look forward to connecting with listeners and viewers of your show.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mari, for being a guest on the show today. And thank you to all of you listeners and viewers for watching another episode of the Estrella Podcast. My name is Danielle Miranda, and don't forget, if you're interested in learning more about the new beta launch on the Estrella platform, head over to estrellaadvisors.com. Thank you so much, Mari. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so wonderful to be on the show and chat with you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.